The last thing my husband ever said to me was, "I love you, Layla." 3 days later, I stood at his funeral, watching his mother and sister pretend to cry while they plotted to destroy me. I'm Layla, and until last week I thought I knew what family meant. Now I'm not so sure anymore. You need to leave. Valerie's voice cut through the post-funeral silence like a knife. She stood in the foyer of what had been my home for the past 4 years, her perfectly manicured hand gripping the banister. This house belongs to the Whitfield family. You're no longer part of it. David was my husband, I said, my voice barely a whisper. We shared this home. Mackenzie's laugh echoed off the marble floors. Shared? Please? My brother bought everything in here? What did you bring to the marriage besides that tacky engagement ring? I touched the ring instinctively. David had chosen it because it reminded him of his grandmother's. Vintage, understated, perfect. Now his sister was eyeing it like a vulture. That should stay with the family too, Valerie added, stepping closer. Along with any other jewelry David gave you. My best friend Sophia stepped between us. You can't be serious. Her husband just died. Exactly. Valerie's lips curved into a cruel smile. And now it's time for the little gold digger to dig elsewhere. I wanted to scream, to tell them how David and I met in college before his family's company went public, how we'd fallen in love over coffee and textbooks, not stock portfolios. But the words stuck in my throat. You have 1 hour, Mackenzie announced, checking her watch. Security will escort you out after that. I climbed the stairs in a daze, past photos of David and me that would probably be in the trash by sunset. In our bedroom, no, their bedroom now, I grabbed a suitcase and started filling it with whatever I could grab first. Need help? Sophia appeared in the doorway, her eyes blazing with anger. We should call a lawyer. This can't be legal. David handled all the legal stuff, I admitted, folding one of his old college sweatshirts into my bag. I trusted him to... To what? Mackenzie appeared behind Sophia, arms crossed. To protect you? Well, he's not here anymore, is he? I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. When I opened them, I noticed the envelope in my jewelry box, the one David had given me months ago with strict instructions. Open when you need strength. I grabbed it along with my most essential belongings. 45 minutes later, I walked out of my home for the last time, Sophia's arm around my shoulders as Valerie and Mackenzie watched from the window, like queens surveying their reclaimed kingdom. The motel room Sophia found me was clean but depressing. Yellow wallpaper peeled at the corners, and the air conditioner wheezed like it was on its last breath. Kind of like my marriage, I thought bitterly. You're staying with me tomorrow, Sophia insisted, setting down takeout containers. This is ridiculous. I just need time to think. I pulled out the envelope, turning it over in my hands. David knew something like this might happen. He was always trying to protect me from them. Open it, Sophia urged, sitting beside me on the creaky bed. My hands shook as I broke the seal. Inside was a single piece of paper with a name and phone number. Deacon Underwood. Below it, in David's familiar handwriting, he'll help you when they come for blood. Trust him like you trusted me. They don't know what's coming. I looked up at Sophia, my heart pounding. For the first time since the funeral, I felt something besides grief. Hope. Who's Deacon Underwood? Sophia asked. I pulled out my phone, already dialing. I guess we're about to find out. Deacon's office wasn't what I expected. No mahogany desk or pretentious law books, just a modern workspace with a coffee maker that looked more expensive than my current net worth. Mrs. Whitfield, he started. Just Layla, I interrupted. Apparently I'm not a Whitfield anymore. He smiled, but it wasn't the patronizing kind I'd gotten used to from David's family. Actually, that's exactly what we need to discuss. David was very specific about what should happen after his death. Sophia squeezed my hand as Deacon pulled out a thick folder. Your husband knew his family well, he continued. Too well, perhaps, which is why he created what I call the Karma Clause. The what? A trust fund that controls roughly 80% of the family's liquid assets. Deacon slid a document across his desk. Your mother-in-law thinks she has full control, but she's wrong. David restructured everything 3 months before the accident. I stared at the numbers on the page. They didn't seem real. I don't understand. It's simple, really. David set up a 3-month observation period after his death. Every interaction between you and his family is being documented. Their treatment of you determines who gets control of the trust. Sophia leaned forward. Are you saying... I'm saying that Valerie and Mackenzie are digging their own graves. Deacon pulled out his phone and played a recording. Valerie's voice filled the room. Get that gold-digging trash out of my house before she steals anything else. That was at the funeral, I whispered. Yes, and I have dozens more recordings, plus security footage from the house, witness statements, and documentation of their financial activities since David's death. He paused. They're not being very smart with money they don't technically control yet. My mind was spinning. David planned all this. He loved you, Layla. But he also knew his family. The trust has strict conditions. They either treat you with respect as his widow or they lose everything. Their choice. How much? Sophia asked. The trust controls approximately $47 million. I nearly choked on my coffee. $47 million. Plus the house, cars, and company shares. Deacon's expression turned serious. Valerie and Mackenzie have been spending like it's already theirs. Mackenzie put a deposit on a $3 million house yesterday. Valerie's been moving money around, thinking she has authority she doesn't actually have. What happens after the 3 months? I asked. That's up to you. If they've treated you poorly, which they have, you get full control. You can cut them off completely or set up conditional support. David wanted you to have that power. Sophia was grinning now. They have no idea, do they? None. Deacon checked his watch. And they won't know until the observation period ends, unless you want to tell them. I thought about Valerie's sneering face, Mackenzie's cruel laugh, the way they'd thrown me out like garbage. No, I said finally. Let them dig deeper. Layla, Sophia started. I'm not being vindictive, I said, surprising myself with how calm I felt. But they need to learn actions have consequences. David knew that. Deacon nodded approvingly. In that case, I suggest you lay low for the next few weeks. Let them think they've won. I'll continue documenting everything. As we stood to leave, he handed me a credit card. This is connected to a separate account David set up for you. Use it for whatever you need. In the elevator, Sophia turned to me. Are you okay? I looked at my reflection in the mirrored walls. I didn't see a victim anymore. You know what? I think I am. David didn't just leave me money. He left me a chance to show his family who I really am. And who's that? The elevator doors opened and I stepped out into the sunshine. Someone they shouldn't have underestimated. For the first time since David's death, I felt something like peace. Not because of the money, but because even after death he was still protecting me, still fighting for me. And now it was my turn to fight back. They're throwing a charity gala? I stared at the invitation Sophia had snagged from her PR firm. David's been dead for 6 weeks. They're calling it a memorial fundraiser. Sophia's disgust was evident. Valerie's idea. All proceeds go to her foundation. I'd moved into Sophia's guest room, but I wasn't hiding anymore. Instead, I was watching, waiting, recording. We're going, I decided, pulling out my phone to RSVP. Are you sure that's wise? Deacon says I need to be visible. Besides, I smiled, I want to see their faces when I walk in. The ballroom sparkled with crystal and old money. I wore a black dress David had given me for our last anniversary, my hair swept up elegantly. Sophia stayed close as we entered. Mackenzie spotted me first. Her champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. What is she doing here? Supporting my late husband's causes, I replied smoothly, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. That's what this is about, right? Her fiancé Sean materialized beside her, his eyes traveling over me appreciatively. Layla, you look stunning. Thanks, Sean. How's the wedding planning going? Mackenzie's face reddened. Not that it's any of your business, but we've upgraded to the plaza. Unlike some people, we can afford it. I smiled, thinking about the deposit she'd put down with money she didn't have. Sounds lovely. As I moved through the crowd, I kept my phone recording in my clutch. Valerie's voice carried across the room as she bragged about the Foundation's new initiatives, all funded by David's accounts. "Excuse me," a familiar voice said behind me. "Layla?" I turned to find my sister Esme standing there, looking uncomfortable in a borrowed dress. "What are you doing here?" "I heard about David. I'm so sorry." She shifted awkwardly. "I know we haven't talked since you disappeared with my savings 3 years ago." "I can explain." She glanced around. "Can we talk somewhere private?" Before I could answer, Sean approached again, this time without Mackenzie. "Care to dance?" "I'm catching up with my sister," I said, but Esme was already backing away. "Go ahead," she said. "I'm staying at the Marriott downtown, room 412. Come by later." I watched her leave, then let Sean lead me to the dance floor. He pulled me closer than necessary. "You know," he murmured, "Mackenzie's been impossible lately. All this wedding stuff. She's changed." I recorded every word as he complained about money, about Mackenzie's spending, about Valerie's control over everything. When his hand slipped lower than appropriate, I stepped back. "Thanks for the dance, Sean. Give my best to your fiancé." Later that night, Sophia and I reviewed the recordings. Valerie announcing plans for David's money, Mackenzie bragging about her new beach house, Sean's wandering hands and loose lips. "Deacon will love this," Sophia said. "But what about Esme? Are you going to see her?" I thought about my sister, about trust and betrayal. Maybe it's time to hear her out. Besides, I could use another ally. "Be careful," Sophia warned. "She hurt you once." "Everyone hurts everyone," so I said, thinking of David's family. "The difference is what we do about it." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Nice dress tonight. Shame about the circumstances. Sean." I forwarded it to Deacon, then typed out a response. "Wrong number." Sophia read over my shoulder. "He's fishing for dirt on the inheritance, isn't he?" "Probably," I smiled. "Let him fish. The more they all talk, the more evidence we get." "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" I thought about it. "Not enjoying, but I'm not sorry either. David knew what they were capable of. Now they're proving him right." "And Esme?" I grabbed my keys. "I'm going to hear what she has to say. Maybe it's time to rebuild more than just my life." As I drove to the Marriott, I couldn't help but wonder, was Esme's timing just coincidence? Or was she another player in this game of secrets and lies? Only one way to find out. "You're telling me Valerie's been forging David's signature?" I stared at the documents Esme had spread across her hotel room bed. "How did you get these?" "I work in corporate security now," Esme said, looking more like the sister I remembered. When I heard about David, I started digging. Old habits die hard. The paperwork showed real estate deals dated after David's death, his signature perfectly replicated on each one. "She's using his name to move money through shell companies," Esme explained. "Look at the dates." Sophia, who'd insisted on coming with me, picked up one of the papers. "This is serious fraud." "That's not all." Esme pulled out her laptop. "Mackenzie's been busy too. She's got secret accounts in the Caymans, probably planning her escape route if things go south." I thought about the trust fund, about how they were spending money they didn't actually control. They're going to lose everything anyway. Why expose this now? "Because I owe you," Esme said quietly. "What I did 3 years ago, I was in trouble. Bad people, bad choices. But I'm clean now and I want to help." Sophia crossed her arms. "Convenient timing." My phone buzzed. Another text from Sean. "We should talk about Mackenzie. I know things." "He won't stop, will he?" Sophia peered at my phone. "No," I smiled. "And that's exactly what we want." I arranged to meet Sean at a coffee shop the next day. He was already waiting when I arrived, looking nervous. "Mackenzie's losing it," he said after I sat down. "She maxed out 3 credit cards yesterday. Valerie's threatening to cut her off." "That must be stressful," I said, my phone recording in my pocket. "Look, I know you probably hate me for staying with her, but—" He leaned closer. "If something were to happen with the inheritance, I'd want to be on the right side of it." "Are you asking me to help you betray your fiancé?" "I'm saying I could help you. I've seen things, heard things. Valerie's not as clever as she thinks. I stood up. Thanks for the coffee, Sean. Good luck with the wedding. Back at Sophia's, I played the recording for Esme and Deacon, who'd joined us for an update. Classic self-incrimination, Deacon noted. But we need to be careful. If they suspect anything before the trust period ends, they won't, I said. They're too busy spending money they think they can't lose. Esme pulled up something on her laptop. Speaking of which, look what Valerie just did. The screen showed a transfer order. $5 million moved to an offshore account under David's name. She's getting nervous, Deacon observed. Starting to hide assets. Can we use this? I asked. Not yet, but soon. He checked his watch. The trust period ends in 3 weeks. They've filed for an official estate reading then. Sophia laughed. They think that's when they'll finally get rid of you for good. Let them think that. I looked at the growing pile of evidence. How much have they spent since David died? Mackenzie's at $12 million in purchases and deposits, Esme said. Valerie's moved about $20 million offshore. Money they don't have, Deacon reminded us. Money they can't access without the trust. My phone buzzed again, this time from Mackenzie. Stay away from my fiancé, you desperate widow. I showed it to Deacon, who added it to his file. Perfect. Keep them angry. Keep them spending. Aren't you worried they'll figure it out? Sophia asked. No, I said, thinking of David's last gift to me. They're too busy trying to erase me to see I'm the one holding all the cards. Esme touched my arm. What happens when they do figure it out? I thought about Valerie's sneer at the funeral, Mackenzie's cruel laughter, all the tears I'd shed alone in that motel room. Then they'll learn what David knew all along, I said. Sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. The conference room at Deacon's office felt too small for all the tension it held. Valerie sat at one end of the table, Mackenzie beside her, both wearing expressions of barely contained triumph. Sean hovered near the door, while Sophia and Esme flanked me like bodyguards. Let's begin, Deacon said, placing a thick folder on the table. We're here for the final reading of David's estate. Finally, Mackenzie muttered. Some closure. Valerie's lips curved into a cold smile. Indeed, though I don't understand why she needs to be here. She gestured at me dismissively. Legal requirement, Deacon replied smoothly. Now, before we proceed, does anyone have anything they'd like to say for the record? I do. Valerie straightened in her chair. I want it noted that this gold-digging opportunist took advantage of my son, and now she's trying to stake a claim on our family's legacy. Is that how you really feel? Deacon asked, pressing a button on his laptop. Suddenly the room filled with Valerie's voice from the funeral. Get that gold-digging trash out of my house before she steals anything else. Another recording played, Mackenzie at the gala, bragging about her new beach house. Then Sean's voice. Valerie's not as clever as she thinks. What is this? Mackenzie demanded, her face reddening. Evidence, Deacon said simply, of your behaviour during the trust's observation period. The what? Valerie's smile vanished. The karma clause, I said quietly. David's final gift to me. Deacon pulled out more documents. For the past 90 days, every interaction, every financial transaction, every decision you've made has been monitored and recorded. That's impossible, Valerie snapped. I control the estate. No, Deacon corrected. You control what David allowed you to control. The trust, which holds 80% of the family's assets, has been waiting to determine its final recipient based on your treatment of Layla. The colour drained from Mackenzie's face. The house deposit. The offshore accounts, Valerie whispered. The wedding venue, Sean added, earning a murderous glare from his fiancée. All spent against money you don't have access to, Deacon confirmed. Money that, as of today, belongs entirely to Layla. The silence that followed was deafening. This is a joke, Mackenzie finally sputtered. Daddy would never— Your father, I interrupted, knew exactly what you'd do when he died. He knew you'd try to erase me, take everything, act like I never existed. So he made sure I'd have the power to show you how it feels. You can't do this to us, Valerie hissed. We're his family. So was I. I stood up, feeling stronger than I had in months. And now I control the trust, the house, the cars, and the monthly allowances you've been living on. Monthly? Mackenzie's eyes widened. The credit cards? Will be frozen by midnight, Deacon confirmed. But my wedding! Mackenzie shrieked. The deposits, the dress, the plaza. Sean quietly slipped out of the room. You planned this, Valerie accused, pointing a shaking finger at me. You manipulated David. No, I cut her off. David planned this because he knew who you really were. Every cruel word, every scheme, every attempt to destroy me just proved him right. Esme handed out copies of the final trust document. Mackenzie stared at hers in horror. This is what rock bottom feels like, I said softly. Remember this feeling, because your future comfort depends entirely on how you treat me from now on. You can't expect us to beg, Valerie spat. Actually, Deacon interjected, that's exactly what the trust requires. Monthly reviews, documented good behaviour, and sincere attempts at reconciliation. And if we refuse? Mackenzie asked. I picked up my purse, ready to leave them to their new reality. Then you better start looking for jobs. I hear retail is always hiring. Sophia held the door for me as I walked out, Valerie's angry sobs and Mackenzie's cursing fading behind us. That, Esme said with a low whistle, was better than therapy. But as we left the building, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a whole new battle. Your car has been repossessed. I stared at the email from Mackenzie. Please don't let me be homeless. I'll do anything. Karma's a beautiful thing, Sophia said, pouring more wine. We sat in what was now my living room. I'd moved back into the house last week. She sent 15 emails today, Esme noted, scrolling through my phone. Valerie's sent 23. The fallout had been spectacular. Sean disappeared to Cabo with one of Mackenzie's bridesmaids. The plaza cancelled the wedding when the checks bounced. Valerie's country club membership was revoked over unpaid dues. My phone rang, Deacon. Turn on Channel 7, he said without preamble. The TV flickered to life, showing Valerie at a press conference. My daughter-in-law has orchestrated a hostile takeover of our family's assets, she declared, tears in her eyes. She manipulated my son, and now she's destroying his legacy. Bold strategy, Esme muttered. She's desperate, I said, watching Valerie play the grieving mother card. The charity board kicked her out yesterday. What are you going to do? Sophia asked. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Mackenzie stood there, mascara streaked down her face. They're repossessing everything, she sobbed. The furniture, the art, even my engagement ring. Please, I'll do whatever you want. Come in, I said, surprising everyone, including myself. Mackenzie perched awkwardly on the edge of the sofa, the same sofa she'd told me to leave behind 2 months ago. I was awful to you, she whispered. I know that now. Do you? I pulled out my phone, showing her the press conference. Because your mother's still attacking me on national television. She's not handling this well. Mackenzie twisted her hands together. The foundation was everything to her. And now she knows how I felt, I finished, when you took everything from me. What do you want? She asked. Money, an apology. I want you to understand something. I leaned forward. David loved you, both of you. But he saw what money was doing to his family. This trust wasn't about punishment. It was about teaching you consequences. Sophia's phone buzzed. Valerie's interview is going viral. People are calling for an investigation into the foundation. Mackenzie's face crumpled. Mom used charity money for personal expenses. If they investigate... I know, I said. I have the proof. You'd send my mother to jail? That depends on her. I stood up, walking to David's old desk. I'm willing to help her avoid prosecution, set up a reasonable monthly allowance for both of you, maybe even save some of your assets. But first, she needs to stop the media circus. No more interviews, no more accusations, and you both need to start showing genuine remorse. I am sorry, Mackenzie said softly. I was horrible to you because I was jealous. David changed when he met you, became better. I resented that. My phone chimed with another email from Valerie. You'll regret this. I'm going to expose you for what you really are. I showed it to Mackenzie. Still think she deserves my help? Give me an hour, Mackenzie said, standing up. I'll talk to her. Make her understand. After she left, Sophia turned to me. You're really going to help them? Conditionally, I replied. David wanted them to learn, not suffer forever. But first, they need to hit rock bottom. Speaking of which, Esme said, checking her laptop, Valerie's house goes up for auction next week. Perfect timing, I smiled. Nothing teaches humility like losing your mansion. You're enjoying this too much, Sophia warned. Maybe, I admitted. But they need to understand, really understand what they did to me. Only then can we all move forward. My phone lit up with a text from Valerie. We need to talk. In person. Please. Here we go, Esme said. Round 2. I typed back a response. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come alone. The pieces were falling into place. Now I just had to decide, how far was I willing to go to teach them their final lesson? Valerie looked smaller somehow, sitting in David's study without her designer clothes and perfect makeup. Her hands trembled as she clutched her coffee cup. The police called this morning, she said without preamble. They're investigating the foundation's finances. I know. I sat behind David's desk, feeling his presence in every corner of the room. They called me too. Are you going to tell them everything? That depends on you. I pulled out a folder, one of many Deacon had prepared. I have proof of every illegal transaction, every misused donation, every forged signature. Her facade finally cracked. I never meant... It started small, using foundation money for personal expenses. Then the real estate deals needed David's signature, and I thought... You thought you could forge your dead son's name and no one would notice? I was protecting our legacy. She stood up, anger flashing through her desperation. Everything I did was for this family. No, I corrected quietly. Everything you did was for yourself. David knew that. It's why he created the trust. David. She sank back into her chair. He was always too soft, too trusting. He trusted me, I reminded her. And he was right to. My phone buzzed. A text from Deacon. Police want to move forward with charges. Your call. Valerie must have seen something in my expression. Please, she whispered. I can't go to jail. Then let's talk about your options. I opened my laptop. First, you'll sign a public statement admitting to mismanaging the foundation and apologizing for your recent accusations against me. And then? Then you'll step down from all board positions, return any remaining foundation assets, and agree to financial oversight. You want to control me, she accused. No, I want to help you become better. I turned the laptop to show her the statement I'd drafted. David believed people could change. Even you. She read it slowly, each word seeming to age her further. And if I agree, I'll help structure a deal with the prosecutors. No jail time, but you'll have to pay restitution. With what money? She laughed bitterly. You control everything. The trust will provide a monthly allowance, enough to live comfortably, not extravagantly. But it's conditional on good behavior and regular family counseling. Family counseling? All of us. You, me, Mackenzie, we're still family whether you like it or not. She stared at me for a long moment. Why are you doing this? After everything we did to you? Because David loved you, and because revenge doesn't heal anything. I stood up, walking to the window. But maybe redemption can. Mackenzie told me what you said yesterday, about David wanting us to learn, not suffer. He was wise like that. She picked up a pen, hands steadier now. What happens after I sign? We hold a press conference. You make your statement. The foundation gets restructured under new management, probably Deacon, and we start over. Just like that? No, I said firmly. You'll have to earn trust back. Both of you. It won't be easy. She signed the document, then looked up with tears in her eyes. I never gave you a chance. From the moment David brought you home, I decided you weren't good enough. And now? Now I think maybe we weren't good enough for you. My phone buzzed again. Mackenzie. Did she sign? Yes, I texted back. Come over. Valerie stood up, straightening her shoulders. I should warn you, I'm not good at apologizing. That's okay, I smiled. We have plenty of time to practice in therapy. As if on cue, Mackenzie arrived, looking nervously between us. It's done, I told her. Now the real work begins. Together? She asked hesitantly. I thought about David, about his faith in redemption, about the power of second chances. Together, I confirmed. But first, your mother has a press conference to prepare for. Valerie nodded, finally understanding the price of salvation. Tell me what to do. And so began the next chapter. Not of revenge, but of rebuilding what was broken. He would be proud of you, Sophia said, watching me arrange flowers on David's grave. The autumn breeze carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and new beginnings. Which part? The revenge or the forgiveness? Both. She helped me adjust a sunflower, David's favourite. You showed them consequences, then showed them mercy. That's exactly what he wanted. Esme appeared with coffee for all of us. Therapy session starts in an hour. Valerie actually called to confirm she's coming. 3rd session this month, I noted. No complaints, no excuses. People can surprise you, Esme said, sitting beside me. I should know. The sound of heels on grass made us turn. Mackenzie approached carrying her own flowers. She looked different now, humbler, more genuine. The designer labels were gone, replaced by simple elegance. I hoped I'd find you here, she said, placing her bouquet next to mine. Mum's already at the foundation office, helping deacons sort through old records. Voluntarily? Sophia raised an eyebrow. She's trying, Mackenzie shrugged. We both are. By the way, I got a job offer yesterday. Marketing position at a small firm. That's great, I said, meaning it. Did you tell your mother? Yes. She actually seemed proud, said it was time I stood on my own feet. My phone buzzed. An email from Deacon. Foundation restructure complete. Ready to announce the new charitable focus whenever you are. Speaking of standing, I said, showing them the email. I've decided to rename the foundation, the David Whitfield Memorial Trust for Family Healing. He'd love that, Mackenzie whispered. It'll fund family counselling for those who can't afford it, I explained. Help other families heal before they break. Like we did, Sophia added. Like we're healing, I corrected. Mackenzie touched David's headstone gently. I saw Sean yesterday. He wanted to apologise, try to explain himself. And I thanked him. She smiled slightly. If he hadn't shown his true colours, I might never have seen mine. Esme checked her watch. We should head to therapy. Valerie gets anxious if we're late. As they walked ahead, I lingered for a moment at David's grave. The morning sun caught my wedding ring, still proudly worn. You knew, didn't you, I whispered to him, that they needed this wake-up call, that I needed to find my strength. Layla, Sophia called. You coming? Just a second. I pulled out an envelope, the one David had given me months ago, the one that started everything. Inside, I added a note of my own. You gave me the power to choose between destruction and redemption. I choose healing. I choose family. I choose love. I tucked it under the flowers and stood up. At the car, Mackenzie waited with an unexpected question. Would you like to have dinner with us tonight? Mum's cooking. Valerie cooks now? Well, she's learning. There might be takeout involved. I laughed, a real, genuine laugh that felt like freedom. I'd love to. As we drove to therapy, I thought about power, not the kind that comes from money or control, but the kind that comes from choosing grace over vengeance. David had given me both options. The real gift was letting me decide which path to take. Ready? Sophia asked, as we pulled up to the therapist's office. I looked at my unlikely family, my loyal best friend, my reformed sister, my former enemies turned works in progress. All of us broken in different ways, all of us choosing to rebuild together. Ready, I said, because that's what David taught me in the end. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying your enemies, but in transforming them into family. And sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. But that's okay. We have time. We have each other. And we have hope. That's more than enough.